What are my chances?
Good.
You mean good like 1 out of 100?
I'd say more like 1 out of 1.
So you're telling me...
Yeah!
And so how do we get certainty? Well, we get it by starting with our Creator at the same time, with his revelation. And that's the problem that Van Til brings up over and over and over again, that if you don't start with God, you're reduced to subjectivism and skepticism.
The presuppositional approach would use the transcendental argument for God to show that everyone actually needs God by showing that God is the precondition of logic and morality. Different presuppositionalists might also include math, the ability to have knowledge, and knowing the future will be like the past as things that we need God for. The presuppositionalists would argue that it is futile to try and argue against that, as there is no other worldview that could adequately justify these things. Therefore, non-Christian would realize that they do know God exists because they are using what God has given them and wouldn't, as well as couldn't, use it otherwise. How does that mean Christianity is true? A presuppositionalist would argue from the impossibility of the contrary, that every view leads to utter skepticism, and that leaves Christianity as the one possible worldview left. So what the person making this argument is essentially saying is that there aren't any other non-contradicting explanation that can account for how we got morality, math, or the laws of logic. Therefore, God must be true. But to come to this conclusion, the person would have to have studied all of the different types of views on the laws of logic or morality. Okay, well, one might say, you don't have to survey every single one, but maybe just the non-crazy. As I mentioned before, I think God would be the best explanation for the laws of logic and morality, etc. If it were just a question of what's the best explanation, which is a probabilistic claim, I'm on that train. But the presuppositional proponent of tag is making a much greater claim than this. It is not that Christianity is the best explanation, but that it literally couldn't happen any other way without the God of Christianity.
It's the only way.
To come to the conclusion, a person would have to look at literally every other explanation for the laws of logic. Otherwise, they can never conclude that Christianity 100%, without a doubt, is the only explanation possible. While most people think of the laws of logic and morality as immaterial things, there are actually a wide variety of views. Some different views are reductive naturalism, eliminative materialism, dialetheism, nominalism, and Platonism, but there are many more. In order to show that tag can give us certainty about Christianity, one must say every single one of these has a 0% chance of being how the world truly is.
What are my chances?
Not good.
You mean not good like 1 out of 100?
I'd say not.
So you're telling me there's not a chance?
To achieve certainty from this argument, a person must not only be able to conclude that all possible explanations proposed in the past are incorrect, but all future explanations are also incorrect. How do you disprove something you've never even heard of? One would have to know the future. Finally, one who makes this argument must be able to conclude he has not made a logical fallacy, as well as having 0% chance of misunderstanding a proposed explanation. I'll let you decide if these propositions are possible.